Alright, in this video we're going to determine if a graph represents a function or not. And in order to do this, to determine if a graph represents a function, we're going to use what's known as the vertical line test. Okay, and in the vertical line test, all we do is we take an imaginary vertical line. Sometimes I've seen people, hold their pencil vertically over a graph and pass it from left to right to help them see this. But we're going to just pass this imaginary vertical line over the graph from left to right. If it ever crosses through more than one point on the graph at a time, then it's not a function. If it ever passes through only one point at a time, then it is a function. So let's go ahead and we'll look at a few graphs and applying the vertical line test to determine if they're functions. And to help us see this, I'm going to actually draw in a vertical line here and drag it across the functions. If I can do this. Okay, there we go. Now I grabbed it. So let's look at A. We take our vertical line and we pass it over the graph in A. And you see, as this line's passing over the graph, it's only ever crossing through one line on the graph at a time. So that tells us that this one is a function. My pen doesn't want me to be able to tell you that it is a function though. There we go, it's a function. Alright, now let's do the same with part B. We'll take this vertical line, and we'll drag it over the graph in part B. And now you see at all of these points, as I'm dragging the vertical line across the graph, it's hitting more than one point at a time. For instance, right now you can see it crossing over the bottom portion of a circle and the top portion of a circle. That tells us that this graph is not a function. Alright, next graph. Pass the vertical line. It's only hitting one point at a time here, one point at a time, one point at a time. The questionable spots are right here, right here. And at those times, the vertical line is only hitting one point on the graph at a time because that closed circle and open circle are aligned with one another, which means that there's only one point on the graph there. Because the open circle, while it represents a boundary, means that there's not a point on the graph there. And so this particular function also passes the vertical line test, and so it represents a function. And the last one here. I'm going to take my vertical line, pass it along this graph, and now you can see there are spots in here where the line crosses through more than one point at a time. And so this one's not a function. And that's really how easy it is to determine whether or not a graph represents a function or not. We just pass this imaginary vertical line over the graph and see, does it ever hit more than one point at a time? Okay, see you next time.